How is everything with you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Everything is fine.
Awesome.
Days are getting longer, which is
Yeah,
nice.
that's always good.
And let's talk about Dark Waters. There's been some reactions already for the first singles and videos. How do you feel about those reactions so far?
Yeah, yeah, the cliche answer, but in this case, it's really a good. I really genuinely mean it. It's beyond my expectations because, of course, we had quite a history recently, and I'm so grateful that people are, yeah, open-minded and that they recognize the music for
Yeah,
what it is, and like Delain, and so I'm really it's beyond what I hoped for.
yeah. When you started this new Delain phase, what was the first thing that you were looking for?
In terms of music or in terms of people? Or
In
yeah,
general for the band, because we'll talk probably a bit later when
sure.
Maddie left, but when you had to start a new chapter, the lane and the history that you already mentioned, what were you looking uh, for this new chapter?
Um, for the contradiction of starting afresh, like a new chapter, but at the same time that it would be really delaying. That people would see the DNA, Delain DNA is there. That this is Delain. This combination.
Yeah, and obviously, to find the right singer, it's not easy. How was for you to, to find, the perfect singer? Because there's a lot of, it's inevitable. There'll be comparisons
Of course,
between, happens with Iron Maiden, AC/DC, all bands
of course.
when they go through a change. What was, was it difficult for you?
Um, Well, it was in hindsight, it was surprisingly easy, but I was worried about the process up front. Because indeed, the same thoughts here. And I wasn't even sure if I should choose a singer, a male singer or a female singer. Because one might argue if you go for a male singer, nobody would see that coming.
Yeah.
How are you going to compare that? But on the other hand, um, for me, and it's funny because the first time I was looking for a singer when I started Delain, which ended up being Charlotte, I was at the same thing. Am I going for a male or a female singer? And I coincidentally found a female singer. This time I made the choice more deliberately for a female, but it was easy in hindsight. What I did is well, first of all, I looked around because I know a lot of people in the scene, so to say. But I also looked at YouTube channels, people who do covers.
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon Diana, and I wrote down her name because I really liked what I heard. But I didn't do anything with that yet. But within a week, she really coincidentally, I saw a remark on one Delain post on Instagram from her, and she said, "Hey, if you ever need a singer, you can always contact me." Wink. It was kind of a joke because
Yeah.
she didn't expect anything. And I thought, well, how coincidence? What a coincidence is this? That this really is a sign I need to contact her, and I did, and here we are.
Yeah, we are. You already had music before you contacted Diana.
Yes, not everything, but part. Yeah, yeah. When it came to the writing of the music, well, it was for me. It almost felt like business as usual because of course there were some changes, but the thing is that with the entire Delain career, the main person I wrote the music with was Guus Eikens, and he is not in the band, but he's kind of in the band because he was always present, and he was still present. So the only link we which was different, we had to get used to was Charlotte not having there because Charlotte is a very gifted lyricist, and she also at a later stage developed as a gifted songwriter as well. Um, but in general, it was for me business as usual. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, when you are you were not sure about who's going to sing in a band, if it's a male, female, but obviously you already had something in mind. When you're writing, you already have the voice in your head that you want to sing the music that you're writing.
Yes. Now that is true. Actually, that's a good question. That is true. Because you hear the melody lines in your head, and you're playing it with a piano. You sing along with it, and indeed, you imagine a band on stage while you write it, and then there is a female vocalist on stage. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And how long did it take for you to write the Dark Waters records?
Actually, pretty fast, because we didn't have yeah, it may sound weird, but I didn't feel that we had a lot of time, because at first I didn't know what would happen with Delain.
Yeah.
So I did write, but more like just keep on writing. But then all of a sudden it became clear how Delain would reshape. And then I thought, we really need to get this out, because people need to see and hear that Delain is alive and kicking.
Yeah.
So yeah. So we didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah. And let's go back to the beginning, so to say.
Sure.
Did it surprise you when you were left hang and dry, so to say, with no one in the band? Was that a surprise for you? Was something, I remember seeing when you guys did the tour with Evergrey, and it was, I can't remember the year, 2016, 17 maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, everything seemed jolly happy. The band seemed great on stage. Everybody seemed to get along well. And, a couple of years after, the castle just crumbles.
Yeah. No, I did not see it coming. Absolutely not. The thing is, I got into a burnout, and that was in the end of 2019. That kind of also came because of all the success, because a lot of good stuff was happening. A lot of stuff was happening, both with playing live, making a new record. Well, a lot of stuff. But in the end, I was the person who is responsible, for everything going on in the band. So if something would go wrong, then I had to solve it. Because our structure was like that. I had a company with Charlotte, our singer, and not with the other guys. They were kind of hired. And that made it sometimes difficult, because if, for example, we didn't have a tour manager, then I had to plug the holes. And yeah, at a certain point, everything came at the same moment, and we played a lot. While we were playing in the States, I also had to finish the album, because I'm also the producer of the album. And yeah, it was just so much. And then we had a European tour, then we had a video shoot, and I just collapsed, and I got into a burnout, and I was crying at soundcheck on stage. And of course, that doesn't do much good to the vibe.
Yeah.
So I didn't see it coming. No, I didn't see it coming. But I also didn't see coming how the other band members would deal with that. And that has been a huge dent in my trust in people, I have to say. And I'm not going to say they are bad. I'm good, because everybody has their own perspective. You know, I don't believe in that. And if you work so long with the same people, how can you say that people are Satan, or you know what I mean, like that? Can't. But it did surprise me, and everybody has their own perspective, and I didn't see that coming at all, and I felt like being kicked out of the band, while it was kind of my company with Charlotte, and kind of a coup d'état, so to say. And that was hard for me, I have to say.
But there wasn't any, you were going through, a burnout. Obviously, everybody around you probably saw that.
Yeah.
Didn't they bother to reach out, talk to you, try to, I don't know. I'm asking because normally when you see someone that it's down, that's burning out, you normally reach to that people, especially if you're in a band and you're friends with them.
exactly.
But
Charlotte did, but the guys totally didn't. No, they didn't. And their solution was to get rid of me. Yeah, I can't say it otherwise. They literally told me, "Hey, Martijn, we need to talk. We don't want you to go on tour anymore." And yeah, my solution was, we structurally play a lot. Let's bring that down a little bit, and extreme at first, so I can recover. But their solution was, don't go on tour anymore, and we don't want you to be on tour anymore. Otherwise, we're gone. But that's not possible because, again, I am responsible. So if something happens on tour, people are at my doorstep.
Yeah.
So that's not possible. So I was really surprised. But I also have to say, in hindsight, because Charlotte and me did the bulk of everything happening in Delain, I might have to conclude that they also didn't realize and saw what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And what is the business side of running a company.
Yeah.
And I think they severely underestimated that. But that's me filling in. I don't know, So, yeah. And we found it different.
Yeah, but didn't they realize like you own the name of the band? Or I know it's kind of weird but like, I don't know. Did they think that, okay,
They knew I owned the name. They knew I owned the name, but they thought, because Charlotte also made clear to me and to them, I don't want to go to a huge change. If a huge change happened, I rather focus on my own career. And the guys knew that. So, of course, from their perspective, I can imagine they would think, okay, if we can push this, because if we leave, then Martijn has no band anymore.
Yeah.
And in the end, that happened. But yeah, there is still a band. Yeah, but I also have to say, I thought there were moments that I thought it would be over.
Yeah.
And actually, I offered them the whole thing at a certain point because I was so tired. And when you're being in a burnout, you don't want to deal with this kind of stuff because you're sick. You can deal with this. And that made it even harder for me. That at this moment when you're so vulnerable that this happens. So I offered them the whole thing. And my luck is that we couldn't, how do you say, agree on the way it would pass to them.
Yeah.
They declined the offer.
Yeah. It's, we have seen situations of bands that are formed and then, members leave, get kicked out, or, you got the thing with Accept, Udo, and he didn't realize when he started the band that the band wasn't in his name or something like that. And when he realized it was too late, he couldn't own the name.
Yeah.
And he had to follow his own path. And, that must be difficult for when you build a career anyway, and then you start from the beginning. And I think for you, at the end of the day, probably was a sign from the universe that they didn't want the name, because here we are with a great record in hands,
No, thank you very much. But I also have to say that part of it is as well that, they didn't write the music. Like Timo, the guitar player, at the last part of Delain's development, he started to write some, but in general, we're talking less than 5% of the entire catalog. And so that also, enforces like what makes the band, because in the end it's about the music as well. It's not only about the people.
Yeah. And the other members that you recruited, like one of them already been in the band before, and two of them. So it was like, okay, let's do it again. It was easy to talk with the guys and say, what do you think? And
it's funny because when it was clear that we would split up, I already was in contact. I stayed in touch with those people that were in the band. and the drummer was in the band until our fourth album, Human Contradiction. So that's like 2015, something like that. And Ronald, our guitar player, was in the band during the April Rain time. And at the beginning, we would continue as a project because I thought it won't be possible to continue as a band. But they told me, why not continue as a band? Why not continue Delain as a band? And I already announced to continue as a project, you know. And I started thinking about that, and I felt really backed by them. And also our previous bass player, Rob, who is now the bass player of Epica, he was also involved in the recording of this album. So I kind of had the entire April Rain lineup except Charlotte, but everybody else was there. And Guus, our songwriter, and also I always kept in touch with Marco, who was on several records, Marco Hitala, Nightwish. So in the end, I had to conclude, wow, there is so much Delain DNA here.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And Dark Waters is about to be released. And, you know, with Diana, when she contacted you, there was that, you know, connection that happened. You know, again, the universe was sending signals to you.
Yes, bizarre. Yeah.
When you got in the studio with her, you know, everything fall in place.
Yeah, actually, it already
felt that.
Place. It immediately fell in place because what happened when I contacted her, I said, let me send you a couple songs, you know, and so I can hear how you sound on Delain stuff. So, and I was a bit mean. I sent her the most difficult Delain songs of our last record, Masters of Destiny and Burning Bridges, and their vocal range goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So within a day, I got it back, and it knocked me off my chair. I thought, this is insane. This is so good. And it fits so well. So yeah, as you say, it's almost like it's a sign of the universe. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with the album out, obviously people are expecting touring, probably not as hard as in the past. You probably have to take it easy still. What are the plans for Delain when it comes to live shows?
Well, for this year, we agreed to start a bit careful because when we booked the shows, COVID was still kind of at the end stages, the pandemic. And also, I want to get this team becoming a team together.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that you don't go full throttle all of a sudden. So we booked 2 tours of 2.5, 3 weeks. One is not announced yet, but I can already tell you that's an American tour. So you got the scoop there. And we got a small European tour. We also have festivals. So in all, I think we're already at 32 shows this year, which is not an insane amount, but I think it's a healthy start.
Yeah.
And I think for next year, we're going to 40, perhaps even 50 shows. So I think that's pretty healthy for a band. It's not 100 or 150.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and with everything that's happening now, you know, with COVID, the rising costs of touring as well, it's probably not the right time because everybody seems to be on the road. I know that costs are, you know, a lot for the bands to put on a show on the road. Have you guys taken that into account as well? So, you know, don't burn the budget as well.
Not financially, because, you know, it's not going to be less expensive next year, I think. So the business model is the same. But what I did take into account is that there's a lot of touring going on. So, you know, there's a lot of other bands out there playing. And I want to have good ticket sales to be able to build things up again.
Yeah.
So that means to keep it easy a little bit first. And again, as I said, also for building up the team, also for health, I'm not going to do 150 shows or 100 shows anymore. I'm not going to do that a year.
Yeah.
But I'm totally willing to do 50 shows a year, you know, or perhaps even more. I don't know. But, you know, I learned from the burnout in that regard. I'm not going to overdo it anymore. No.
Yeah, and there's family at the end of the day. You don't want to be away from them all the time.
Exactly, exactly. That's the other thing. I have a son. I have a wife. Um, so yeah, so that's also indeed a factor as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to, when you get home, like after 6 months or something, they ask, who are you?
Who are you? Who's cutting the meat today? No, I don't want that. No.
And you've been busy, musically, not just with Delain, but with the Eye of Melian as well. There's, how did that project came about as well? Because it was, everything seemed to be done much on a, DIY basis as well. So what was the idea? You had like plenty of musical ideas.
Yes, because it's completely different as Delain. And there was COVID going on as well. And it was something we were thinking about for a long time already, the four of us. Some like Miko, or the guy who I arranged the orchestrals with, he also works with me on Delain stuff. So I know him for a long time. And Johanna, our singer, I know, of course, through Tuomas when we toured, and Tuomas is a friend of mine as well. So we're also friends. And this was a long time dream to make this a reality. And it went so well. It's also not a one-time thing. We're gonna keep doing it. But of course, Delain for me is very important as well. So it won't bite, but it's something we're gonna keep doing. Yeah.
At the end of with Delain, like you build a brand, for the last 15 years or more, and like, why would you give up on that at the end?
Yes.
It's a career. It's a life that you have there.
Exactly. And the most important thing, which I forgot for a moment, and I'm not going to forget anymore, to have fun. And I've really have fun making the Delain stuff and playing live. And that was also one of the problems with the guys, the previous lineup, that if I wouldn't have fun playing live anymore, I would have said, hey, great, then please do the tours. I'll stay home. But I do like playing live.
Yeah.
So it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember when Delain, probably because it was a project in the beginning, or was as a project, you guys didn't tour that much. I always thought touring was a problem. Being a fan and listening to the music, for whatever reason, I always thought touring was a problem for you guys. Was that the case? Like, you guys couldn't tour that much, or you didn't want?
No, not at all. I think at a certain point we did 100 shows a year. We did a lot. I remember going to the States for 7 weeks with Sonata Arctica, and doing a big tour with Sabaton and Nightwish for a month. And another tour at Sabaton in Europe for a month. So no, I think at a certain point, but at the beginning, it was more that you have to convince promoters and people that, that you might be good to book.
Yeah.
And from there it grew. So no, there's no problem. And in the beginning, I thought the same thing as now. I completely underestimated that there was possibility to play as a band, and now I did it again, the same mistake. That I thought, that's not going to happen again, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that you're still making the music that you enjoy, and you're having fun with it. I think that's the most important part. Obviously, when I talk to bands, it's when they put work into it, it's it's important to have fun, but also important not to lose money. Because
True. No, that's true. It's a combination. But the first factor, you need to get the second factor anyway, because if you don't have fun, how are you going to convince other people to enjoy the music?
Yeah.
That's not possible unless you're a very good actor.
I think there's plenty of bands out there. They are great actors.
Or perhaps they have their own business. They should make money in acting, because that's a talent too.
But maybe when people realize they are not that good of actors, they wouldn't really make it.
No, that's true. But then I don't think you're gonna make it in music. If you know the fun, something will go wrong.
Yeah. When it comes to new bands, there's a lot of music coming out every day. It's insane. We as journalists and fans of music, we kind of lose track of everything. Do you listen to any new music that comes out, any new bands?
Not often. There are a couple exceptions, but not often, because for me it's the same thing. And I'm also from the generation that, remember at Roadrunner, when we were at Roadrunner, we simply had promo days with journalists on location, and you get it in a magazine, and that's it. And now, of course, you have social media, and it's all different. So there are a couple bands I keep track for. For example, I really love Beast in Black. That's really cool. And I listen to Nightwish, listen to Rammstein. So there are bands I listen to, but not everything, because it's, as you say, it's so much.
Yeah, Beast in Black are starting the European tour here in Lisbon. I'm looking forward to see them, because I didn't have the chance. I remember, again, that's one band that, they split up, members went different directions, and they were actually, smart enough to replace with a guy instead of a girl.
Yes. But the funny thing is that the guy, actually, there happened exactly the same thing as with me. And it happened on a tour with us, together with Sabaton. And I told him, it was Anton, the guitar player, just come join us in our dressing room, because he was so lonely at that time. And now he helped me, and he had now Beast in Black, and we were in touch, and he helped me with some things. And so it's really karma in a good way. Yeah.
And I remember when Beast in Black with the new guy, they released the first single. The first minute or two, I thought like they got a girl again.
Yes, that's the same thing. No, Jannes, the singer, Jannes, his vocals are insane.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, they got a girl again. Okay, let's do it. And I realized it's a guy. Oh, oops.
Yeah, I did the other way around.
It was great. Anyway, it was great talking to you. The Dark Waters record, it's a great record. It's good to have Delain back, despite all the troubles and tribulations and everything. Charlotte, she's doing her thing, and she's, doing it well, exploring the musical avenues that she enjoys as well, and I think it's great when this happens, when we have like two artists that we can enjoy. I think it's great. And Dark Waters is a great record, and hopefully we'll see you on tour. We can convince you guys to play in Lisbon, so maybe this time around it will happen.
Yes, we never played Portugal, so it's about time. And thank you so much. And it was really nice talking to you. And perhaps see you in Portugal.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. All right, Martijn, thank you very much for your time. All the best for the new chapter of Delain, for Dark Waters. And, hope to see you guys around, all right?
See you around.
Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.